In the ancient shadows of early Christianity, there lies a hidden truth, a secret so powerful that it was deliberately erased from the official narrative of the Church. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a text that was once revered and cherished, was lost to time, buried under the weight of patriarchal control. But why? Why was this gospel excluded from the Bible? What is it that the early Christian authorities feared so much that they silenced the voice of one of the most profound figures in Christ's ministry? For centuries, the world has known Mary Magdalene as little more than a repentant sinner, a woman who was forgiven by Jesus. But the Gospel of Mary Magdalene tells a vastly different story. Was she truly just a follower, or did she hold a deeper, more powerful spiritual authority than any of the male disciples? Could it be that Mary Magdalene was the keeper of hidden wisdom, entrusted with sacred teachings that could have radically transformed Christianity? In this video, you will uncover the mysteries that have been kept from you for over 2 millennia. We will explore the profound secrets hidden in the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, the challenges she faced from the early church, and the deeper truths that were silenced to maintain control. You will gain a deeper understanding of the role of women in early Christianity, the power struggles within the early church, and why Mary Magdalene's teachings resonate so strongly with modern-day spiritual seekers. We'll dive into the Gnostic wisdom that Mary carried with her, revealing the ascent of the soul and the spiritual authority she wielded, a wisdom that many of the male disciples, like Peter, could not comprehend. Could it be that Mary Magdalene, in all her wisdom and spiritual authority, was intentionally excluded from the official Christian narrative? And if so, why? What can we learn from her story, and how does it challenge the world we live in today? Let's embark on this journey together and unlock the forgotten truths of early Christianity. If this revelation excites you, don't forget to leave a comment below and share your thoughts. Let's spark a conversation about the hidden wisdom of the Gospel of Mary Magdalene. Subscribe, like, and join us as we continue to uncover the lost secrets of history. The role of Mary Magdalene in early Christianity. In the vast ocean of early Christianity, one name has been swept beneath the tides of history: Mary Magdalene. Often portrayed through the lens of sin and redemption, her true role has remained obscured, overshadowed by the overwhelming voices of male apostles. Yet if we dive deeper into the sacred text that was once revered, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, a profound truth emerges. It paints a picture of a woman who was not merely a follower of Christ, but a teacher, a guide, entrusted with secret wisdom that would have transformed the very foundation of Christianity itself. Imagine a woman walking among the disciples, not as an outsider, but as a leader. Her spiritual depth was beyond measure, a woman whose understanding of Christ's teachings surpassed even the closest male disciples. Her connection with Jesus was more than just a relationship of teacher and student. It was a bond of trust, one where Jesus revealed to her the deepest mysteries of the soul's journey. She held the key to spiritual liberation, not as a mere spectator, but as the one chosen to carry the sacred message forward. In the Gospel of Mary, we find her, not in the shadows of Jesus' ministry, but in the very heart of it. She was not just an observer of Christ's resurrection, but a vessel of his teachings, entrusted to spread the wisdom he had shared with her. Mary Magdalene is depicted as one who not only understood the nature of Christ's teachings, but also had the authority to pass them on. Her role was not confined to being a follower. She was a guide, a visionary, who held spiritual authority and insight, unspoken and often unrecognized by the male disciples around her. This truth is a powerful one, because it challenges everything we have been taught about the early Christian community. How often have we heard of the apostles' leadership, their strength, and their unshakable faith? But what if there was another story, one where Mary Magdalene stood as a pillar of wisdom, equal to, if not greater than, the men who followed Christ? What if her voice, her teachings, were silenced not because of her lack of knowledge, but because of the threat her authority posed to the patriarchal structures that were beginning to solidify within the Church? This revelation offers us a glimpse into the marginalized voices of early Christianity, voices that were suppressed not for their lack of truth, but for their challenge to the established order. And in our world today, where the voices of women still struggle to find space at the table, Mary Magdalene's story is a call for us to reconsider the roles we assign to individuals based on gender, not their spiritual insight. Her story serves as a powerful reminder of the strength and resilience of women throughout history, especially in spiritual communities where their contributions were often overlooked. It calls us to reflect on our modern-day perspectives. How often do we dismiss or underestimate the wisdom of others based on external factors, such as gender or status? Let us remember that Mary Magdalene was not just a follower, she was a spiritual force. And in recognizing her, we begin to uncover a greater understanding of the complexities of early Christianity, where power was not always where we expect it to be. She offers us the opportunity to reclaim a lost chapter of history, to honor those whose voices have been erased by time and social constructs, and to learn from her story of courage and spiritual awakening. And as we continue to unfold the mysteries of her teachings, let us remember that her voice, once suppressed, is now calling us to step into a deeper understanding of our own spiritual journeys. The Gnostic influence in the Gospel of Mary. The Gospel of Mary Magdalene offers us a glimpse into a world where knowledge and wisdom were not bound by the rigid doctrines that would later dominate Christianity. In its pages, we discover teachings that align closely with Gnostic principles, ideas that were revolutionary in their time and to many still resonate deeply today. The Gospel speaks of the ascent of the soul's journey through various spiritual realms, and of the obstacles that bind it to the material world. This esoteric perspective paints a picture of spiritual enlightenment that is vastly different from the orthodox teachings we are most familiar with. At its core, the Gospel of Mary teaches that true liberation comes not from external obedience, but from internal awakening, a process of self-realization and spiritual ascent. This aligns closely with Gnostic thought, which holds that the material world is an illusion, a veil that prevents us from perceiving the true spiritual reality. In the Gospel, Mary Magdalene is portrayed as the one who understands this reality. She is the one who has received the secret teachings of Christ, knowledge that transcends the limits of conventional understanding. Consider, for a moment, the idea that salvation is not a gift given by external forces, but something we must awaken within ourselves. The Gospel of Mary teaches that the soul must navigate through layers of illusion and deceit to reach its true spiritual home, the divine source. It's a deeply empowering message, one that places the responsibility of spiritual awakening firmly in the hands of the individual. The journey of the soul is not one of blind faith, but of knowledge and understanding, a quest for truth that is hidden deep within each of us. This Gnostic influence in the Gospel of Mary is both enlightening and challenging. It invites us to question the nature of our own spiritual journeys. Are we simply following the teachings of others, or are we seeking our own direct connection with the divine? The Gospel of Mary suggests that the latter is the true path to spiritual enlightenment. It calls us to look beyond the physical world, to pierce through the veil of illusion, and to uncover the hidden truths of our existence. In this sense, Mary Magdalene's role as the bearer of secret wisdom takes on an even greater significance. She is not just a follower of Christ. She is a teacher in her own right, a spiritual guide who understands the deeper mysteries of life. Her teachings, as revealed in the Gospel, challenge us to think beyond the limitations of dogma and to explore a more mystical, personal relationship with the divine. As we consider the implications of this text, we are invited to reflect on our own spiritual practices. How often do we look to others for answers, rather than seeking the truth within ourselves? The Gospel of Mary urges us to trust our own inner wisdom, to seek direct communion with the divine, and to remember that true enlightenment comes not from external sources, but from within. This is a message of empowerment, one that calls us to embrace our own spiritual authority and to recognize the sacred knowledge that resides within us all. In a world that often looks outside for answers, the Gospel of Mary challenges us to turn inward, to question the world around us, and to seek the divine wisdom that lies hidden in our own hearts. It is a call to awaken to the truth of who we are, and to embrace the spiritual journey that lies before us. As we continue to explore the life and teachings of Mary Magdalene, we are reminded that there is always more to discover beyond the surface. There are depths within each of us that remain untapped, and the Gospel invites us to dive deeper, to seek knowledge that is not readily visible, but that is nonetheless profoundly real. Let us take up this challenge, as Mary Magdalene did, and uncover the hidden wisdom that awaits us. The role of women in early Christianity. As we step further into the story of Mary Magdalene, we find ourselves at a crossroads, where the ancient texts challenge everything we have been taught about the role of women in the early Christian movement. While much of the history has been written through the eyes of the male apostles, the Gospel of Mary Magdalene paints a radically different picture, one that places women not as passive followers, but as active leaders, as teachers, and as key players in shaping the spiritual future of the Church. In the early days of Christianity, women were not meant to be seen, and certainly not meant to lead. The patriarchal society of the time left little room for women to step into roles of spiritual authority. Yet, in the shadows of this restrictive environment, women like Mary Magdalene rose. They understood the teachings of Jesus in profound ways, receiving wisdom directly from him, and in turn, sharing that wisdom with others. Mary Magdalene was not a mere witness to Christ's life and resurrection. She was entrusted with secret knowledge, sacred teachings that even the male disciples struggled to comprehend. Imagine a world where the teachings of Jesus were not controlled by a handful of male figures, but were shared freely by both men and women. This vision was suppressed, however, and the women who held these powerful teachings were pushed aside. History erased their contributions, burying them under centuries of bias. But the Gospel of Mary provides a glimpse into what could have been, offering us a reflection on the hidden roles women once played in the spiritual development of Christianity. The text not only highlights Mary Magdalene's leadership, but also addresses the broader question of why women were systematically excluded from spiritual authority. Was it because the Church feared the power of women's voices, their capacity for spiritual insight? Was it an attempt to uphold the patriarchal system that sought to control the narrative of Christianity? Or was it simply a reflection of the cultural norms of the time? When we look back at the stories of early Christianity, we see that many women played significant roles in the life of Jesus. They were the ones who stayed by his side during his crucifixion. They were the first witnesses of his resurrection, and they were the ones who carried his message to the world. Yet, in the official teachings of the Church, their voices were silenced. The Gospel of Mary serves as a powerful reminder that women were once at the forefront of this transformative movement, offering us a glimpse into a richer, more inclusive early Christian tradition. By recognizing the contributions of women like Mary Magdalene, we can begin to reclaim the lost stories of Christianity and restore the balance of history. These women weren't mere followers. They were the ones who understood the deepest truths, the ones who held the keys to spiritual enlightenment. Their story challenges us to reconsider how we view leadership and authority within our spiritual communities today. Let us ask ourselves, how much of the story we know today has been shaped by the omission of women's voices? And what might we uncover if we allowed those voices to be heard once again? The Gospel of Mary encourages us to reflect on the power of women in spiritual leadership and reminds us that the journey toward enlightenment is one that is not confined by gender or societal constraints. The challenges to Mary Magdalene's authority. As we delve deeper into the narrative of Mary Magdalene, we cannot ignore the challenges she faced from those closest to her. Despite being entrusted with profound teachings by Jesus, her authority was questioned, particularly by the male disciples. This tension reveals a powerful lesson about the human struggle with authority, especially when that authority challenges deeply held beliefs about power, hierarchy, and gender. In the Gospel of Mary, we see Peter, one of the closest disciples, expressing doubt about Mary's spiritual authority. He challenges her ability to teach, questioning whether she could truly have received such profound revelations from Jesus. Did he really speak to her privately? Peter asks. Are we to listen to her over us? These words, filled with skepticism and doubt, reflect the underlying tension within the early Christian community. Could a woman truly hold such wisdom? Could she truly lead? Or was her role simply to follow? Mary's response is one of strength and conviction. She does not back down. Instead, she affirms her spiritual authority, a wisdom passed down to her directly from Jesus. In this moment, Mary represents not just herself, but all women whose voices have been silenced, whose wisdom has been disregarded simply because of their gender. Her authority is not dependent on the approval of others. It is grounded in the sacred knowledge she possesses. This story serves as a profound reminder of the challenges women have faced throughout history in positions of power. It is not simply about Mary Magdalene's story. It is about the countless women whose voices have been marginalized and whose contributions have been ignored. The struggle for women's voices to be heard in spiritual, political, and societal spheres is not new, and it continues today. The Gospel of Mary's portrayal of Peter's skepticism also raises important questions about the nature of spiritual authority. What does it truly mean to hold spiritual authority? Is it a matter of gender, or is it about wisdom, understanding, and connection to the divine? The text invites us to reconsider how we perceive authority in our own spiritual lives, and to reflect on the structures that continue to limit the voices of those who might hold the keys to profound spiritual truths. Mary's journey teaches us that spiritual authority does not come from external validation, but from an inner knowing, a deep connection to the divine. It is a reminder that the greatest wisdom often comes from the most unexpected places. Just as Mary Magdalene was entrusted with the sacred teachings of Jesus, we are all capable of receiving divine wisdom if we are open to it. In many ways, Mary's response to Peter's challenge is a call to all of us to embrace our own spiritual authority. It reminds us that we, too, have the ability to access the deepest truths, and that we must not allow anyone or anything to diminish our connection to the divine. The story of Mary Magdalene is not just about one woman's spiritual journey. It is about the empowerment of all who seek the truth, regardless of their background, their gender, or their social standing. Mary's strength, her resilience in the face of doubt and opposition, offers a model for us all. It is a story of standing firm in our truth, even when others do not understand, even when we are questioned or dismissed. It is a story of spiritual courage, one that challenges us to rise above the limitations imposed by the world and to embrace the wisdom that resides within us all. In the end, the Gospel of Mary is not just about the past, it is about the present and the future. It calls us to reclaim our voices, to honor the wisdom of those who have been silenced, and to recognize the spiritual authority that resides within each of us. Just as Mary Magdalene was a beacon of light in a world that sought to dim her voice, so too can we be the voices of truth and wisdom in our own lives, empowering others to do the same. The struggle for recognition and Mary's strength. Mary Magdalene's journey wasn't just a path of spiritual enlightenment, it was also a battle for recognition. In the Gospel of Mary, we see that the male disciples, particularly Peter, struggled to accept her authority, questioning whether Jesus truly chose her as a bearer of such profound wisdom. This struggle, while it occurred centuries ago, still resonates with us today, as it highlights the tension between inner truth and external validation, the difficulty of accepting change, and the challenges of recognizing spiritual authority in unexpected places. Peter's reaction to Mary's teachings is one that many can relate to. It's the discomfort of seeing someone, especially a woman, step into a role of spiritual leadership that has traditionally been reserved for men. Peter asks, did he really speak to her privately? He wonders, are we to turn to her and listen? His words aren't just a questioning of Mary's authority. They are a reflection of a deeper societal resistance to change, to the idea that women could hold such spiritual power. In that moment, Peter represents the conventional mindset that sees only what it expects to see, not recognizing the sacred wisdom standing right before him. Mary, however, does not retreat into the shadows. She stands firm, knowing that her authority comes from her connection to Christ, not from the approval of others. She speaks from a place of divine knowledge, a wisdom that transcends earthly limitations. This moment teaches us an invaluable lesson. True spiritual authority doesn't come from external validation. It comes from within. It's the understanding that when we are aligned with the divine, our voice is as powerful as any other. No one can take away what we know in our hearts to be true. The Gospel of Mary invites us to reflect on our own struggles with authority, recognition, and self-worth. How often do we seek validation from others before trusting our own wisdom? How many times have we doubted our ability to speak our truth simply because others have questioned it? Mary's strength in this story challenges us to stand firm in our own spiritual authority, to trust that our connection to the divine is enough and that our wisdom is worth sharing with the world. As we reflect on this, let us ask ourselves, are we willing to accept the spiritual authority of others, regardless of gender or status? Are we open to the possibility that divine wisdom might come from unexpected places, from people whose voices have been silenced by history? Levi's defense of Mary and the power of solidarity. In the face of Peter's skepticism, another disciple, Levi, steps forward to defend Mary. Levi's words are a powerful counterpoint to Peter's doubts. Peter, you have always been hot-tempered. Now I see you contending against the woman like the adversaries. But if the Savior made her worthy, who are you indeed to reject her? Levi's defense is more than just a rebuke to Peter. It's a declaration of the inherent worth and dignity of Mary Magdalene's spiritual authority. Levi's words remind us of the importance of solidarity in the face of injustice. It's one thing to recognize the value of someone's voice. It's another to actively stand up for them when they are being silenced. Levi does not passively watch as Mary's authority is questioned. He speaks up, asserting that if Jesus himself saw Mary's worth, then no one else has the right to challenge it. Levi's defense is a call for all of us to stand up for those whose voices are marginalized, to lift up those whose wisdom is often dismissed. This moment also teaches us the value of community. It shows us that when one person's authority is questioned, it's not just that individual who suffers, it's the entire community. When we allow the voices of women or any marginalized group to be silenced, We all lose the chance to benefit from their wisdom. Levi's defense of Mary Magdalene is a powerful reminder that true spiritual growth can only happen when we are open to the contributions of all members of the community, regardless of gender, background, or social status. In our own lives, how often do we see someone being silenced or dismissed and choose to stay silent ourselves? How many times do we allow the voices of others to be drowned out because it's easier to remain passive? Levi's bold stand for Mary teaches us the importance of speaking up for what is right, even when it's uncomfortable. It calls us to challenge the norms that exclude certain voices and to create spaces where everyone's wisdom can be heard and valued. Let us reflect on this. In what ways can we be more like Levi, speaking up for those who are marginalized, defending the authority of those who are often overlooked? How can we build communities where everyone, regardless of their background, is given the opportunity to share their wisdom? The Gospel of Mary's fragmented ending and the questions it leaves behind. The Gospel of Mary ends abruptly, leaving us with more questions than answers. Its final pages are lost to time, leaving the text incomplete. This sudden end invites us to consider the many teachings and revelations that we may never know, and to reflect on the implications of these lost words. The incomplete nature of the Gospel serves as a powerful symbol for the larger narrative of early Christianity, a story that, like the Gospel, has been fragmented and silenced over the centuries. The fragmentary nature of the Gospel of Mary invites us to wonder, what else might Mary have shared with the disciples? What other teachings, wisdom, and insights did she possess that could have shaped the future of Christianity? We can only speculate, but the silence of the lost pages speaks volumes. It reminds us that there are parts of history and of spiritual wisdom that have been intentionally hidden, and that these secrets are still waiting to be uncovered. This unfinished story also holds a deeper lesson about the nature of spiritual knowledge. True wisdom is never fully revealed. It is always unfolding, always evolving. The loss of the final pages of the Gospel of Mary serves as a reminder that the pursuit of spiritual truth is a journey that has no final destination. There will always be more to learn, more to discover, and more to understand. The Gospel of Mary's unfinished nature challenges us to embrace the mystery of spiritual knowledge. It calls us to let go of the need for certainty and to accept that some answers will remain elusive. But in that elusiveness lies the beauty of the journey, the constant unfolding of truth, the continual revelation of the divine. In our own spiritual journeys, how often do we seek final answers, craving certainty in a world that is constantly changing? How can we learn to embrace the mystery, to accept that some answers will always be just beyond our grasp, and to find peace in the journey itself? The Gospel of Mary, though fragmented and incomplete, offers us a profound spiritual insight. The quest for truth is not about reaching an endpoint. It's about the ongoing process of discovery, the willingness to explore the unknown, and the openness to learn from every step along the way. In this way, the unfinished gospel invites us to embrace the journey of spiritual growth, knowing that the questions it leaves behind are just as valuable as the answers it provides. As we come to the close of this exploration into the Gospel of Mary Magdalene, I find myself deeply moved by the journey we've taken together, uncovering the layers of mystery and wisdom that this ancient text holds. In a world that often seeks certainty and answers in the familiar, Mary Magdalene's story calls us to venture beyond the surface, to embrace the unknown, and to recognize the profound truths that lie just beneath our understanding. Through her, we are reminded of the strength and wisdom that resides in each of us, regardless of what the world may say. Mary Magdalene was not just a follower of Jesus. She was a leader, a bearer of wisdom, and a guide for those who sought the deeper truths of life. Her teachings, though lost to time, continue to resonate with us today, inviting us to open our hearts and minds to the mystical dimensions of our existence. The Gospel of Mary is more than just a story of the past. It is a call to all of us to reclaim our spiritual authority, to trust in the wisdom that resides within, and to stand firm in the knowledge that our journey toward the divine is unique and sacred. In many ways, Mary's struggle to be recognized, her unwavering confidence in the face of doubt, and her deep connection to the divine are stories we can all relate to. How often do we find ourselves doubting our own abilities, or questioning the worth of our voice in a world that often seeks to silence us? Mary Magdalene teaches us that our spiritual authority does not depend on the approval of others. It is something that comes from within, from our direct connection to the divine. It is a reminder that the truth we carry, the wisdom we possess, is enough. And as we reflect on the lessons Mary's story offers, I encourage you to ask yourself, in what ways can you embrace your own spiritual authority? How can you step into the wisdom that resides within you, even when others may doubt or question you? The story of Mary Magdalene invites us to take ownership of our spiritual journey, to listen to the wisdom of our hearts, and to trust that we are each called to be teachers and leaders in our own right. As we end this video, I want to take a moment to express my deepest gratitude to each of you for joining me on this journey. If you have felt even a small spark of inspiration, or if something in Mary Magdalene's story has touched your soul, I would be deeply honored if you could show your support by liking this video and subscribing to the channel. If you believe in the power of these teachings to heal, to awaken, and to transform, your support means the world to me. Your likes, your comments, and your subscriptions are more than just numbers. They are a testament to the power of these shared stories, the collective wisdom we are uncovering together. Each small act of support helps me to continue sharing these sacred teachings, to keep uncovering the hidden truths that can guide us all towards greater spiritual understanding. I invite you to share your thoughts in the comments. Let's continue the conversation about Mary Magdalene, about spiritual authority, and about the wisdom that lies hidden within us all. If you feel that this video has brought value to your soul, or if it has helped you find light in moments of darkness, please know that your energy, whether through a like, a comment, or a subscription, helps me to continue creating this content. Every little bit of support is invaluable to me, and I am incredibly grateful for each of you who choose to be part of this community. Together, we can continue to explore the mysteries of the Gospel of Mary, the teachings of Christ, and the spiritual wisdom that transcends time. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being here, for being part of this journey, and for supporting the sharing of these sacred teachings. Let us continue to walk this path together, uncovering the lost wisdom of the past and applying it to the present, so that we may all experience the divine transformation that Mary Magdalene embodied. Your presence, your support, and your belief in this mission is what keeps this light shining. Thank you again, and may you find peace, wisdom, and guidance on your own spiritual journey.